Uvalde Radio. We live, work, and play here.
It's UvaldeRadio.net. I'm Robert Miguel, once again bringing you People of Uvalde. You know what? Trying to connect everybody. We're all a little disconnected in this COVID-19 worldwide pandemic. It's hard to kind of even just have a face-to-face conversation with good friends these days. And, you know, matter of fact, this guy is a good friend of mine since, gosh, before I can probably even remember, one Mr. Wes Vargulish. Hey.
What's going down, brother?
Man, so Wes, I know I should be addressing you by your rock star name, as you are the bass player for the San Antonio and Uvalde-based band, the Heroine. So what do we call you in your rock star name?
Just call me Gülie.
The Gülie, all right, I like it.
Yeah.
So Wes, you're a Uvaldean here. Now, you weren't born in Uvalde, but you've been here for like ever, right? Give me your basic history as a good old Uvalde boy.
Like you said, I wasn't born here, but as all those good Texans like to say, I got here as fast as I could.
Right.
I've probably been living in Uvalde since I was about 2 years old.
Wow.
And raised here. Tried to leave a few times, but always came back.
Now, you and I go way back. I used to attend the church that your dad pastored for many years. Way back, it was the Alliance Chapel here in Uvalde back in the day.
Yep.
And then I think he's at New Testament Fellowship now. But let's talk about your life in Uvalde as a preacher's son, because it's just too cool of a story to pass up.
Well, then it really wasn't. I pretty much, tried to keep myself out of trouble as much as I could.
Yeah.
And then it pretty much everything kind of started once I graduated, high school and started going to college. And, I've always had, I've always had a love of music and wanting to play music. And, I've always been a fan of rock and roll. And, as well as I kind of had to temper that love a little bit.
Oh yeah. Well, people forget that, whenever you're a Protestant church member in the 70s and 80s, this is the height of the PMRC and backmasking. You know what I mean? There was all kinds of, there was obstacles that we had to go through as Christ followers, but still rock and roll fans. Matter of fact, I want to say you're the guy that turned me on to Van Halen and being a preacher's kid and whatnot. So.
well, the funny thing about that is all those little rock and roll seminars that these churches used to have. Yeah. They would always play these snippets of music that was deemed evil and whatnot.
Yeah.
Here I am, an impressionable kid, and I'm like, I kind of like that song.
Right.
that song sounds kind of cool. I want, and that actually kind of what whetted the appetite for that style of music.
Absolutely, yeah. They exposed it to us. What were they thinking, these guys? So here we are, years later, and you are the bass player for the. I'd say you guys are a veteran band. You guys have been around for a while together. A band called the Heroine, based out of San Antonio. Let's talk about your history with the band. First of all, let's talk about how you as a musician got on the bass, and then how you hooked up with the other guys in the Heroine.
Well, actually, my musical career, I started out as a drummer. Mm-hmm. And I had several bands, and the band that I had at the time, the bass player that we had, and actually at that time I was teaching myself guitar. And so when the bass player left, my other guitar player was light years better than I was. So I was just like, well, I guess I'll be a bass player. And haven't stopped since. So I was kind of like an accidental bass player.
Now, I got to ask this because, like I said, we've already established you're a preacher's kid. How was that? Small town, mom and dad, are very heavily involved in church. All of a sudden, Mom, Dad, I'm going to be a rock star. Were there any ramifications? Were there any pushback from the folks? How'd that go?
Actually, it wasn't that bad because the bands that I were in, we were trying to be, a Christian band. We were sold out to the idea of, doing, Christian shows and playing with other Christian rock and roll bands. And so, I really didn't get a whole lot of resistance as far as that, that's concerned. They were just happy that, I was doing something positive.
Mm-hmm. Now, so of course, you start off with more of a mission kind of, going on with your music. The Heroine, you guys definitely, we can say that you guys do positive music. It's not like it's it's a downer, or I wouldn't say it's something that's going to influence, our impressionable youth to make poor decisions. As far as the Heroine now goes, what do you guys do as far as what do you guys put out lyrically and musically?
I mean, musically, of course, it's just good rock and roll. It's all influenced by, AC/DC, Thin Lizzy, Rolling Stones. It has a little bit of a gospel flair delivery to it. Our message has, we've always wanted to be positive, and and if people detected, a Christian leaning towards our lyrics, that's great. And then if they only took the positive side of it, that's great. And we always welcome the fans to come to us and talk to us after the show if they have any questions about who we are, and, what we believe and all that kind of stuff.
Well, I know that you're a lead singer. And I don't know whether to call him Isaac or Linwood, because you guys in your rock star names. But I know he's a pretty outspoken man of faith, and I'm a good friend of yours, but I would say even more so than you. From what I understand, he does do some performing in church in San Antonio as well. I think you have done too. So what is that like, kind of being a full on rock and roll band? I know that you guys, it's not like you're trying to avoid the bars and the big rock shows, but you definitely seem like you're made up of a few Christ followers. What is that like, just kind of, I guess, riding that line,
Well, to us, it's never really felt like a line to us. I mean, we've always felt like there weren't going to be any places that we felt like we couldn't go, because I mean, we've been like you mentioned, we've been doing this for a while, and we've been exposed to a lot of different things, a lot of crazy scenarios, and a lot of that just solidified our stance as to who we are, and whether or not we were playing in front of a rock and roll crowd, a crowd that even didn't really care for us, which has happened on a few occasions. We were still just going to be who we are, and then at the end of the day, just let that speak for itself.
Well, man, you guys have had a lot. You've already accomplished a whole lot. Now, there are definitely some feathers in y'all's caps. So let's go ahead and let's do the resume. I know that you guys were heavily involved with that Motley Crue contest, I think, a while back, right? And you've done multiple festivals, and the big one in San Antonio. Yeah, give me the resume. Give me a few highlights.
That Guitar Center Motley Crue contest was kind of like our springboard. That's kind of where we got our claws into what's kind of shaping us at the moment. There we got to meet everybody from Motley Crue at the Whiskey A Go Go, a sold out show, which was pretty amazing. Yeah. But we've done some touring with Clutch. We've been on the main stage at the River City Rock Fest. We performed at the Gibson stage at NAMM in Hollywood this past January. Played the main stage at the Sturgis bike rally. We've been pretty fortunate.
Yeah.
We're still plugging away, man. Just waiting for that next bigger bubble to pop.
Yeah, like I said, you guys have already done amazing things, and I know I've seen on your social media pages, a few, snaps of you, with various rock stars. What's been kind of the cool moment so far as meeting your heroes or, contemporaries?
Well, how they always say, never meet your heroes. But this past January at NAMM, I just happened to walk right past one of my main influences, which is the bass player from Anthrax, and I just got to pretty much just give him homage, and he just gave me the handshake, and to kind of do a backstory with that guy, we had played a show at South by Southwest in like 2006, and he and the drummer from White Zombie just happened to be there, and he came over to talk to us, and he just like grabbed my hand, and he looked at me and he said, "I'm just going to give you this one piece of advice, and I'll edit this for radio."
Okay.
he just told me, and he looked at me and he said, "Never take no for a bleeping answer. Never take no." And I've always took that to heart, and I've never taken no.
Well, very cool, man. Again, we're talking to Wes Vargulish, otherwise known as Gülie, from the Heroine. All right, let's go and talk about the Heroine, man. You guys got a few records under your belt, and give us the quick bio on the band. I guess mention the other players, and then let's get into your new single that's coming out now.
Well, of course, there's Linwood on vocals. He and I have been together from the very beginning. We got Johnny Lightning on the drums, and Johnny Lightning has actually been with us from the very beginning. At the very beginning, he was actually like a roadie slash, tech kind of merch guy in the beginning, and so he's our drummer. And then we've got Dave on lead guitar. He's been with us for about 5 years now. And then Joey, who just came into the band about a year ago. And things are coming together really, really good.
So now you've got your veteran players, you got some fresh blood. As far as the writing and the recording goes, what's the process for the Heroine? How do you guys write your songs, and then what's the process on getting them out to the masses?
The songwriting to us is pretty simple. Somebody just walks into the practice room and they have just like a little riff, and we just kind of play that riff until we find something that we like, and we just keep playing that and playing it and playing it and playing it until we are completely happy with what we've got. And what a lot of people don't realize is when you hear a finished product, you don't realize that one certain song should have been being played for up to a year, possibly longer in some instances, until you get the finished product. And that's pretty much how it goes. We just keep playing with it and we let everybody have an equal say in the finished product of the song, so that everybody can have a full amount of conviction when it comes to playing that song live, so that energy comes out more genuine.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure that's also one of the keys to keeping that lineup pretty solid without a whole lot of turnover too. If everybody's really, contributing their part, their fair share, and not being squashed, or manipulated by somebody else, I'm sure that keeps you guys all happy at the end of the day, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, because we want everybody to feel like they're a part of the band.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, we've always said we don't want to be playing covers for somebody else's music. And so we've always told prospective members, if you can't handle us getting our hands on something you bring into the practice room, then you're not going to last in this band.
Yeah, no Bogart, man. It's all creative. We're all mixing it all up here. It's a big old rock and roll casserole. But again, we're talking to Wes Vargulish, Gülie, from the Heroine. You guys got a brand new single. I got to get into this before, because I mentioned at the top that, Heroine's based out of San Antonio. You are local to Uvalde. It is worth mentioning. How does that practice work, man? I guess you're making a lot of road trips?
Yeah, in the early days, I was making about 3 trips back and forth to San Antonio a week.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm probably doing about 2. Mostly 1 practice a week, but sometimes we do 2. And, we travel and tour so much that driving back and forth to San Antonio just doesn't seem like that much of a drive. So it's not that big of a deal now. I mean, sometimes I kind of enjoy it because the time in the car is kind of nice.
Oh, yeah, there can be something very therapeutic about a nice, not a super long road trip, but just kind of an extended drive. That can be absolutely therapeutic. And from what I understand, you tend to do the most of the driving. Is that correct?
Yeah. Well, I do a lot of the night driving.
Okay.
Once we get done with the show, I'm the one that pretty much takes the first shift and drives pretty much until I just really can't drive anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, I love the drive, so it's really, I enjoy it. So it's not a big deal to me.
So what's the craziest road story you've had so far? And every band has got those stories about a van breaking down or a wreck, or something crazy, getting towed. What's the best one you got there?
Well, we normally always talk about the Johnny crashing the trailer story, but I'm gonna do another one, and it's just kind of funny.
Okay.
Because we broke down on this highway somewhere in Wyoming. So we had to call AAA to come pick us up. So the AAA guy gets there, and he's doing his thing, getting ready to put the van up on the lift. He tells us that he kind of motions so that we can get out of the car or get out of the van. Well, I'm the first one out of the van, so I get out of the van, and then he sees the rest of the guys come out of the van, and then he all of a sudden says, "No, y'all can't ride in the truck. You'll have to stay in the van. And we're like, what? That's kind of illegal. And he goes, yeah, y'all can't go in the van. And we're like, all right. It's kind of racist there, but I guess we have to get our van fixed. We'll just get back in the van and ride in the van on the lift on a tow truck.
Okay, well, so the backstory is that, Wes, you're a white guy, and the rest of the guys are all Hispanic, right?
Yeah.
So this guy's just, it really was a race thing? Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Wyoming, huh? Don't get broke down in Wyoming, I guess that's the takeaway. Well, so how did it end up? They had to stay in the van while it was being towed?
Yeah, we had to, we stayed in the van, and we kind of made light of it. We made like a little video of nobody driving the van because you couldn't see the tow truck over the top of the van. Then we get to that town, and I won't out them out, but it was kind of like a Twilight Zone thing. You know, we get a hotel, a little bitty town like the size of Sabinal, and we walk into this Del Taco, and it's like everybody just stops talking, and they turn around and look at us. We're like ordering, and it's just like, dude, this is weird. And then the two guitar players walked down to the bar because they wanted to go have some drinks. Well, they wouldn't serve them, but they would let them buy beer and take it back to the hotel.
Wow. Are you kidding
Yeah.
me? Wow.
No.
Boy, you go out on tour, you end up in like 1954.
And that next morning, we're just like, dude, whatever they say, don't argue. Let's just get this van paid for, and let's hightail it out of here.
Yeah, that's where you got to worry about getting lynched at some point, right? That's just nuts, man. Wow, what a crazy story. Well, it's sad, but it's rock and roll, right? So that's what it is. Again, we got Gülie here from the Heroine, a great rock band based out of San Antonio. Wes is local to Uvalde. It is People of Uvalde, and let's get into the meat of this whole thing. You guys are releasing a brand new single today, and let's talk all about it because this is really kind of I know that you probably didn't see this coming, but where the world is right now, this song is really, really relevant to where we are as a society. So let's get into that.
You know, and it's funny, too, because when we recorded this song, we actually did just a live in-studio recording. We didn't do, like, any major overdubs except for just, like, some really obvious flaws. And because we wanted this song to be as organic as possible. We kind of wanted to take the whole antiseptic, studio feel out of the song and try to make it as for the moment as possible. Because Linwood pretty much wrote all the lyrics in the studio when he did his vocal parts. When we just kind of sat back on it, we were even kind of wondering if we needed to change anything. But then, we just decided to. We decided to keep it how it was. Right when we were getting ready to, get all the information to release it, that's when this COVID-19 thing broke out.
Yeah.
And we were just like, wow.
Now, the title of the song is It's All Right. And go ahead and let's talk about the lyrics and how that kind of ties into where we're all at right now.
I mean, it's just pretty much just, whatever you're going through at the moment, it's, I know it seems pretty, bleak right now, with this self-imposed, quarantine and, all of us go through things in life, all in all, in the end, it's gonna be all right because pretty much all five of us in this band have all gone through some pretty, crazy things, deaths in the family, divorces and whatnot. But, all in all, in the end, everything's gonna be all right.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, the words are really encouraging, and especially, and they would be anyway, but, listening to this song right now, in the context of where we are as a world, I don't think there's a person, on the planet that probably can't relate to this song. Whereas, I'm sure most people can relate to it anyway, but I think it'd be really hard to find anybody who can't at this point because, it's all doom and gloom. It's all, the negative is amplified right now. And it's a great song, I think, of comfort. But it's just a good rock and roll song, too. And we got to talk about this because you guys are also releasing the video. And, of course, you were, given the task of creating a video during a pandemic where there's quarantine. So let's talk about the creative way you guys made the video, man.
It was pretty cool because we had worked with a video producer in the past. This guy had actually worked with Robert Rodriguez before. If that name is familiar to you, we just like the idea of just trying to produce a video that just had a positive swing during this whole self-imposed quarantine, and then he just came up with the idea of doing an in-home performance, not doing anything super high-tech, but just recording everything off of our phones. We were text messaging everybody, and he would kind of give us direction and ideas on what he was wanting on his end. And, crazy how technology these days can just really put something so simple and so low-tech together and put it together, really well.
The song is great. The video is just a cool concept. And honestly, when we're all past this, I mean, what a great way to kind of, I guess, encapsulate, this kind of moment we're in, where you have to shoot a video basically all in each other's bedrooms, separately, and then share that footage, via cell phones. Because we're living in a world where all of our live concerts are live streams on Facebook,
Right.
So it's kind of got that feel to it, obviously. I think it's just such a cool rock and roll way, and I think years from now, when this is blown over, you guys are going to be able to watch this video and go, hey, remember that? That's what the whole world looked like, We're all looking at each other through the lens of a cell phone.
Right.
Well, man, I mean, the video is great. The song is excellent. We'll go ahead and get into this now. Again, we've been talking to Gülie here, Wes Vargulish from right here in Uvalde, the bass player for the band The Heroine, based out of San Antonio. For those who haven't heard you guys yet, what's the best way to find you guys online and get your music and all that good stuff?
You can just type in "We Are the Heroine." That's that same tagline for Facebook, Instagram. We're on Spotify, iTunes, YouTube. We're pretty much on all social media platforms. You just for Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, you can just go at "We Are the Heroine," and that'll go directly to our pages.
And I guess I should wrap up with the typical radio DJ question: the inspiration of the name The Heroine. I'm sure everybody's gonna have their idea of what that means. Is there an actual reason for the band name?
Well, this is kind of how it happened. We picked the Heroine out of a hat. Because we had a different band name, and we started not to like it, so we were just like, man, what do we want to call ourselves? And we had so many good names that we were like, we couldn't decide on one, so we all agreed, whatever name we pull out of the hat, that's what the band name is going to be. We're like, we're all in agreement. So we pulled out the Heroine, but we kind of related to the heroine being like our mistress of rock and roll. It's like the heroine is what we are. It's what we do. That's kind of how we relate the heroine to who we are.
Well, right on. Do you happen to remember any of those alternates that didn't make the cut?
I think one was "Love Is a Gun." I think the only one that I can remember.
I think you did okay with the heroine then. Very nice.
Yeah.
Well, man, it's been really cool talking to you here again. We're going to wrap up People of Uvalde. Wes with The Heroine out of San Antonio. Here's their new single. It's called It's All Right. Any other information we want to get out about the song before we get it on the radio?
Man, I think we pretty much covered it.
All right, then without further ado, here it is, the Uvalde, the Southwest Texas premiere of The Heroine's new song, It's All Right, on UvaldeRadio.net. Thanks, Wes.
Thank you, brother.
Here for all you people that struggle with mental illness, that have to deal with the poison inside your head, that tell you to quit, that tell you you ain't good enough, that tell you there ain't no reason to live. And I'm gonna tell you right now, you got reason to live. But the voices in your head sound just like this, and I understand how you feel. Don't quit, don't give up. I understand that as a man, it's my responsibility to meet your needs and mine too. Your words inspire me, baby. I'm the greatest, and I believe that to be true. Okay. And when you speak to me, please understand I do my best to not be aggravated. The highs and lows, the ups and downs, the problems I have, I created. I'm king one day and palm the next, baby. Though your words get